Oh, sir, camera is not working significantly.
है ना, माई कैमरा इज नॉट वर्किंग प्रॉब्ली,
चलेगा ना, नो प्रॉब्लम सर।
है ना।
हाँ जी चलेगा।
ठीक है,
हाँ जी
चलिए।
जी जी जी।
किसी एक चीज ने साथ छोड़ दिया अपना।
लेकिन सर यहाँ दिखा रहा है कि आप ऑलरेडी ऑन पे हैं। यू हैव स्टार्ट योर कैमरा बट इट नॉट गोना वर्क
हाँ,
सिग्निफिकेंटली।
इट्स यानी यहाँ भी जो इंडिकेटर है इसका ऑन है, लेकिन वो पता
जी
नहीं,
हाँ।
इमेज कुछ आ नहीं रही है। एनीवे,
ओके ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम सर।
बट वॉइस इज ओके।
यस सर, वॉइस इज
ओके,
क्रिस्टल क्लियर।
and then no problem then. Okay.
यस सर, यस यस।
So we'll wait for some time and then we'll start, है ना?
यस सर, यस यस।
3:30 will start.
हाँ
Okay.
सर, हाँ हाँ।
Okay.
Hello, hello, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall we start, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Uh, Sir,
Yes, sir. No problem, sir. Please.
Sir, shall we?
Yes, yes, sir. Please, sir.
Okay, okay. Please, ma'am, please, you can continue.
Okay, sir. A very good afternoon to all respected dignitaries, invited guests, and faculty members. It's my immense pleasure to heartily welcome everyone on behalf of Research and Development Cell of PR Pote Patil College of Engineering and Management, Amravati. I, Professor K. Chhajed, welcome you all for the last day of ISTE approved 1 week online FDP on research methodology and use of ICT tools, organized by Department of Computer Science and Engineering of PR Pote Patil College of Engineering and Management, Amravati, from 20th February 2023 to 25th February 2023. First of all, I welcome Chairman of the Institute, Honorable Shri Praveen Kumar Ji Pote, Vice Chairman, Honorable Mr. Shreyas Kumar Ji Pote, Principal Dr. D.T. Ingole Sir, Vice Principal Dr. Muhammad Zuhair Sir, and Dr. A.B. Gadicha Sir for this session. I extend my warm welcome and gratitude toward our keynote speaker for today's session, Honorable Dr. Muhammad Atiq Sir, Head PJ Department of CSE, SGBAU, Amravati. I also extend my warm welcome to all our valuable and distinguished guests, academicians, research scholars, experts, all the respected dean, HODs of various departments, and dear participants for this FDP, and also huge response to this FDP. Today, we have with us one of the most eminent personality of SGBAU Amravati University, Dr. Muhammad Atiq Sir, Professor and Head of the Department of PG, SGBAU Amravati. Sir has done his PhD in Computer Science and Engineering from SGBAU Amravati. Sir has more than 28 years of teaching experience in this field. 2 MPhil students and 7 PhD students have completed PhD degree under his guidance, and 3 are currently pursuing their research under him. Sir has more than 40 publications on his name in different national and international journals, as well as national and international conferences. Sir has 3 patents registered on his name. Sir has also published 2 books in Greece and Germany. Sir has also completed one major project sponsored by UGC from 2012 to 2015. He has been invited as the guest for many FDPs and STTPs. He has been a part of various committees as SGBAU level, including Chairman, Board of Studies, IT Department as SGBAU Amravati, Member of Academic Council at SGBAU Amravati, Member of Research and Recognition Committee at SGBAU Amravati, and so many others. We are very fortunate to listen to such an eminent personality today. So without wasting much time, I Muhammad Atiq sir to start his session on writing different types of reports and plagiarism tools in research. Please, sir.
First of all, thank you very much and a very good afternoon to one and all present in this session. Before I proceed, I would like to put on record my sincere thanks to the organizer for giving an opportunity to interact with you. Today probably is the last day as well as the last session, if I am not wrong, right? And the topic which has been assigned to me, basically there are 2 topics. One is the writing for grants or proposal writing, and the second is academic integrity. I don't know exactly how much time is allotted to me, but we'll start. Let's see how much we can finish it up. Right. So once again, I welcome you all for this last session of this FDP on research methodology and use of ICT tools, sponsored by ISTE. Any one of you, just you have to confirm. I am sharing my PPT. Okay.
Yes, sir, please.
I hope it is visible to you.
Yes, sir. It is visible perfectly.
Yeah. So thank you, Gateja sir. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So this is the topic, proposal writing for grants, right? So whenever we carry out any kind of research, the first and the foremost thing we require is the money, right? So how to fetch grants and how to write a, you can say, a good proposal. That is what we are going to discuss today. So the learning objectives which I have identified as far as this session is concerned, it has been divided into four, I think section, I should say. One is the finding a private or government funding agency. That is, you need to identify. The very first thing you need to do is you need to identify the funding agency. Then you have to understand the RFP, because different funding agencies has got different RFP formats, what they call it as the project proposal format. And then how to prepare an RFP, that is from scratch to finish. So we'll have a look at that is how you should start and how you can finish it up. Okay, and at the end, we'll just have a look at how we can avoid some common mistakes. So avoiding common mistake is the last point on the agenda. Right. So we'll start with why write for grant proposal, right? So irrespective of whether you are working in a private organization or government organization, everywhere when it comes to research, okay, there is always acute shortage of money, right? So for fetching the funds or grants, you have to write, you can say, proposal, and you need to approach various funding agencies, right? But apart from that, these are some of the reasons why one has to go for a grant proposal. The very first thing is, if you look at, you can say, the API formats and other things, you will find that the research, major research project is nowadays essential component. If you wish to become a professor or associate professor, you have to have at least one major research projects at your disposal. Then understanding, exploring your chosen field. Okay, that is another. You can, if you fetch the money, definitely you can utilize that fund for going into little details and finding out what is there, right? Then building credibility and scholarship. That is the another reason. And then grant writing provides money for, basically, you can get the money under three different heads, what they call it as the budget head, right? One is the equipment, second is the hiring human resources, and the third one is you can get the money for attending some international event or conference or workshop. So travel for attending conferences, workshop, etc. So these are the three major head. Normally, almost all the funding agency normally they provide some financial support, right? So the very first thing, as I have told you, you need to identify funding agencies. So there are numerous funding agencies, okay, because since we are from a technical side, okay, for us, undoubtedly, ICT is the, you can say, the most important and the funding agency. Okay. Apart from that, you can also approach to CSIR. Again, CSIR people, they provide a lot of money. DRDO is there. Department of Atomic Energy is there. Department of Ayurveda, you can say yoga, naturopathy, Unani, and other things are there. DBT is again pumping a lot of money for research proposals. Okay, you can see in the newspaper, they give you a full page advertisement, okay, wherein they ask for the proposal for Department of Biotechnology, that is carrying out research in biotechnology specifically. Then Ministry of Coal is there, Ministry of Earth Sciences there. Okay, so some of the agencies which I have identified here, which I am sharing with you. Then apart from that, you have ISRO, you have DITE, Department of Electronics and Information Technology. They are providing money for full-time PhD. Okay, wherein not only you get the fellowship, along with you get money for attending conferences, publishing your paper, and so on, right? Then Ministry of Environment is there, Ministry of Power is there, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. And the last one, actually, it should not be the last, UGC is undoubtedly is there for pumping money for research and so on, right? So you need to identify one of the appropriate funding agency, the very first step. And once you identify the, you can say, the funding agency, the next step is to prepare RFP. Okay. So again, this is at the, you can say, the national level. These agencies are there. But at international level, again, you have got UNDP program, United Nations Development Program, SGP channels are there, United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change. Again, there is a lot of money over there, right? And so on and so forth. Okay, so I'll not read out everything, but you have a huge list, unending list, I should say, for fetching the money. The only thing is that you have to write a proposal, and it should be in line with the requirement of the funding agency. And you have to always keep in your mind that is normally they fund for a specific cause. Okay, for example, some of the agencies, they fund for only social cause. So you have to mold your idea in that way that it is having some societal impact or something like that, right? So we have various international funding agencies as well. So funding agencies, while picking up a funding agencies, what are the mistakes normally we commit? Okay, this is the this slide will give you an insight with regard to that. So funding agency goals and project goals should be in line. For example, if you are approaching to a funding agency which are into a social domain, and you are coming up with some technical proposal, obviously they will not accept it, right? So you need to find out on the funding agency website itself, you have to identify what are the projects they have funded in past. Okay, that will give you an insight, okay, and which will help you in finding out that is how you can make your proposal more appropriate for the funding, for fetching the funding grants, right? So research past project is the very first thing you have to do. That is visit agency's website, find out what are the projects they have, you can say, sponsored in last couple of years. Don't apply to an agency for a grant that is too big. Okay. The another mistake normally we commit is most of these agencies, they have got certain cap on the grant. That is, most of them, they either sponsor to the tune of say 20 lakh, 25 lakh. But let's say if you go for a 1.2 CR proposal, okay, wherein the cap is of 25 lakh only, okay, again, you will face problem. So don't apply to an agency for a grant that is too big. For that particular purpose, you have other solution as well. So get institutional backing of support. Okay, you have to have your institutional backing. For example, if you are getting money for equipment, but where you will keep those equipment? Okay, so undoubtedly you have to have support from your institutional. Okay, don't assume the funding agency knows your strength. Okay, so you have to demonstrate that who you are and what you can do. So you have to put your strength in some way or the other in the RFP so that you can get the grant. Follow the agency's instructions. Okay, normally almost all the funding agencies, they come up with certain detailed instruction. Okay, what do we do? Normally we prepare proposal keeping aside those instructions and we write it in our own way. Okay, that should not happen. So you have to read the instruction manual, okay, very seriously, and you have to follow it scrupulously, right? So these are the mistakes normally we commit while identifying a funding agency, right? So once you have identified the funding agency, what next? Next is to carry out the, you can say, literature review. Okay, so literature review you can carry out by going through various, you can say, sources. Okay, or you can contact your supervisor or maybe some experienced persons who are working in that domain. You can have some brainstorming with your colleague and come up with some idea which is really innovative, right? So this is how you can formulate the problem. That is first step to finding the ideas. Okay, then once you formulate the problem, okay, what problem am I trying to solve? You have to ask these type of question to yourself, and whatever answer you get, that is nothing but the problem definition, right? What do I need to solve the problem? Okay, what steps you have to carry out to solve a particular problem? What happens when the problem is solved? What are the implications, right? Let's say you have solved the problem, in what way it will help the society, in what way it will contribute to the, you can say, knowledge in the area in which you are working, right? So formulate the problem. Once you have formulated the problem, you need to go through the, you can say, the RFP or request for proposal. Okay, so this is a generic kind of structure I am talking about. Most of the RFP, they are comprised of these kind of things. That is, normally they expect that you must write an abstract. Okay, most of the time they give you certain number of word count as well. Okay, so you have to adapt those instructions. Then second is introduction, background and literature review, problem statement, research question, Okay. Then propose research methodology, how you are going to address that particular problem. Then what are the expected outcomes or deliverables, right? This is usually you can say a very generic kind of structure of a RFP, okay, or request for proposal. Okay, so you need to understand it thoroughly, and accordingly you have to put your stuff into that format, right? What is the project abstract? Let's say it introduces your project, its goals, and potential impact to the funding agency. So abstract is basically your first impression, right? So it is written to attract readers to your proposal, gives a good initial impression about what you intend to solve, right? So abstract is of utmost important, right? Most of the time, since it appears in the sequence very first, okay, we write it in the beginning. But as a matter of fact, you must write this abstract at the end, because at the end you will be in a position to find out what are the goals, okay, and what is the potential impact of this particular solution to the funding agency, or financing this particular proposal to the funding agency. So written to attract readers to your proposal gives a good initial impression, and it is said that usually that your first impression is the last impression, right? So project abstract must be written with utmost care, right? So project abstract, write this at last. Abstract should be 1 page. Okay, and another mistake most of the time people commit is they write an abstract which is of 2 pages or more than 2 pages. Okay, that is again wrong. Okay, we should not go beyond 1 page. Abstract means at max 1 page. Okay, and should be self-contained. That is, you should not ask the reader to read something else to understand your abstract. That is the meaning of self-contained. That is, normally you will find that in abstract we don't have any kind of references and so on, right? Okay, we never point it to that. We never expect that the reader should read something else to understand the abstract, right? So it should be self-contained, written to attract readers to your proposal, and the summary of the contents of the proposal. It should contain the summary of the contents of the proposal. It should be brief, okay, but contains sufficient details. Okay, maybe in a line or two you can cover these topics like motivation for the work. Okay, what motivated to select this particular problem? What are the project objectives? Maybe 1 or 2, not all. Okay, then what proposed technique you are going to use for solving that particular problem? Again, maybe in few statements, not more than 3 or 4. Okay, then what are the expected results and conclusion? So as a matter of fact, your abstract contains everything about your RFP, starting from scratch, that is problem definition to conclusion, right? And many times even future scope as well, right? So that's why I said that you must write this project abstract or the RFP abstract at the last, okay? Because at that point you will have the thorough understanding of the problem you are trying to solve, right? Now, abstract should include focus of the project, okay? Activity to be undertaken, in what way you are going to solve that particular problem, what are the various steps, who is the target audience, okay? What are the implementation plan, okay? What is the performance measurement, and how much budget, okay, which is of, you can say, the most important thing when you are writing a RFP for a grant is nothing but the budget, right? So it must talk about all these aspects. Okay, abstract should include the focus of your project, for whom it is intended, target audience, what are the implementation plan, performance measurement, and the budget, right? So it should cover almost everything about your project, right? That's why I said that it is the most difficult task to write the abstract, right? Then creating abstract, adhere to RFP requirements, if any. As I have told you, different funding agencies has got different, you can say, formats, and even they put certain restriction. That is, abstract should not be more than 300 words or 500 words, right? So definitely you have to adhere to those RFP. Hello. Yeah. Okay, then address the need of the funding agency. Okay, why the funding agency should fund this particular project? That again has to be there as a part of your abstract. Make it engaging and energetic. Okay, even though it sounds very, you can say, easy, but it is the most difficult task. How you can engage the user when he or she starts reading the very first line of your abstract, he should be forced to read the last statement as well, right? So you must engage the user, must be, you can say you have to make it engaging as well as energetic. Okay. Use active voice, avoid passive voice. Okay. That is another mantra one has to follow while writing the abstract, right? Then introduction. Introduction should be written, you can say the second last. Again, when it comes to evaluation, okay, most of the, whether it is a RFP or whether it is a thesis, okay, normally people read your abstract, people read your introduction, and then most of them, if they are a little bit serious, they go to the conclusion. Okay, in between what you write is little bit, I should not say it is of no use, but it is of less importance. But introduction everybody reads, right? So that's why again you need to take utmost care. And as far as this section is concerned, this section must be written second last but one, what I want to say. Then what is the topic? Define scope and limitation. You have to define the scope of your problem as well as the limitation. You have to point out why this particular problem is important, right? So its importance, what is the background, literature survey, and there is a general introduction to what the problem is all about. Okay. In general, what is the problem, right? In general, what is the problem? Here, we never talks about the solution to the problem, but we define the problem. The problem should be defined in a crystal clear manner, right? So introduction should be written second last. Then background, which is normally we call it as in general terminology, literature survey. Okay. But in case of RFP, they call it as a background. So which is one and the same. Okay. So a brief section giving background information may be necessary. So your evaluator may not have any experience with some of the material needed to follow your problem. So that's why you need to explain the reader or the evaluator that, well, why this problem and how, what is the chronology in which you have arrived at this particular problem, right? So background is equally important. Then literature review, limited to the state of the art, relevant to your problem. Okay, only few, because here again you have a page constraint, even the, you can say the section wise constraints are there. Most of the funding agency gives you that the RFP should not be more than 10 pages or 15 pages. So you cannot devote more than 2 or 3 pages on the literature review. So state why the problem is important, describe what others have done, and justify the proposed solution. Okay, whatever solution you are proposing, you have to justify it, right? Then problem statement, a concise statement of the problem that your project addresses. Okay, justify by direct reference to previous work that your question is unanswered. Okay, some way or the other, you have to identify that what are the research gaps in the earlier solutions and in what way you are going to address or rather trying to solve that particular problem. So analyze the information which you presented in the literature review. Okay, you have to analyze it and then move ahead, right? So this is all about, you can say, the various components of the RFP and how to write and some small tips and tricks. That is what is expected in that particular RFP. But when it comes to RFP, I very well remember when I have the very first time I have written a project proposal and I visited the UGC office, it was rejected, right? It was rejected. The reason was it was not in line with the funding agency's requirement. Okay. Then what I did next time, I have again rewritten the same proposal, okay, in the manner in which it was expected. And then again, I went to UGC and I got the project proposal granted. So small mistake you commit, but the person sitting on the other side, they expect you that you should not commit any small mistake as well, right? So what are the tricks for writing a successful grant proposal? It should be compelling. Okay, it should be written in a professional manner. Okay, you must use certain visuals like say graphs or other state-of-the-art thing, right? Then it should be result outcome oriented. If there is no result part of it, again, nobody will accept it, right? Must be built on a strong foundation and it must be data driven. So these are the 6 important characteristics that a successful grant proposal must possess, right? Okay. successful grant proposal, again, you have certain things easy to read. Don't use the language which you yourself are not able to understand. Okay, write it in a very easy and simple manner. Okay, it should be easy to read, easy to understand, I should say. Okay, it should be formatted as per the RFP guidelines given, provided by the funding agencies. Do not write too many goals. Okay, many times what happens when we are enthusiastic, because every project has a timeline. Okay, maybe 3 years or 2 years or maybe 5 years at max. Okay, so you have to achieve those goals within that stipulated amount of time, right? But in the beginning, what happens normally, we are very enthusiastic. So, okay, we write too many goals, and when it comes to justifying those goals, it is a bit difficult to achieve those goals within that stipulated time. Okay, it must be action oriented, right? Keep in your mind, you are not writing a research article, rather you are writing a research proposal. So there is a difference between a research paper or a research article and a writing for a grant. Okay, so since we are used to writing research papers and so on, right? So many times it happens that we follow the same strategy or methodology, okay, which doesn't work here, right? So you have to always keep in your mind that you are not writing a research article, you are writing a research proposal. So research proposal has got different requirement, right? Altogether different requirement. Okay. Then some other tips, important tips are use minimum words, because if you write less, definitely you will commit less mistakes, right? Use persuasive writing techniques like support for your proposal with evidence, establishing credibility, using logic to link together idea and project outcomes, right? So there has to be a, you can say, a continuity. Okay, when you start reading from the first page, you should compel the user that he or she should read the last page as well, right? Then you should anticipate certain questions, because when you go for defending your project proposal, okay, naturally they ask you a set of questions, rather a bundle of questions. Okay, if you are not prepared, definitely you will not be in a position to answer those questions. So before submitting it, or rather before appearing for the defense, okay, you should anticipate on your own certain questions. Ask your colleagues to proofread, get it proofread by some of your colleagues, clearly planned. Okay, show value, don't over promise. Okay, many times, again, due to enthusiasm and all, okay, we feel that we will be able to achieve many things, but again, not possible, right? Be realistic and achievable in given time frame, and whatever solution you are proposing, it must be feasible. Again, these are some important, you can say, the successful grant proposal tips, right? Now, the next things which is of prime importance is the timeline answer, right? So does the time frame account for all activity? Okay, for example, you have to prepare a research proposal. One of the important part is the, you can say, the research plan, what they call it as in general terminology. Okay, okay. So in timeline means you have to prepare, let's say 3 years down the line, you are preparing a proposal for next 3 years. So first 6 months, what you are going to achieve, next 6 months, what you are going to do. Maybe first 6 months, you will procure the equipment. Next 6 months, you will prepare the setup. Next 6 months, you will carry out some experimentation, and so on and so forth. So does the time frame account for all activity? All smallest activity you have to jot down in the net chart, right? Is there any activity which is not accounted for the timeline? Provide details. Okay. Indicate completion dates, exactly date. That is, maybe let's say today is 25th of February, and 6 months down the line, you are planning that you will complete the literature survey. So you have to put that date exactly over there. Show attention to details. Okay. Reveal feasibility of all activity, right? Must be achievable within that stipulated amount of time, and so on, right? So this is a typical timeline, right? For example, you can say you have an activity, procurement of equipment, hiring of human resources, completion date maybe 6 months, and who is the person who is responsible? Normally, PI is nothing but the principal investigator, right? Or maybe if you have research fellow, you can assign certain activities to them, okay, something like that. But you have to jot down each and small activity, okay, while preparing the timeline or the research plan, right? So this is a typical timeline net chart. Okay, even if you look at this is the 0 day, and then 4 day you are expecting certain things, right? A, B, C, D, and so on. Okay, so you have to jot down each and every small detail, okay, and you have to prepare a net chart for that, right? Then next thing is the budget. Okay, you have to define the grants priorities. That is, let's say you have got 25 lakh rupees. Okay. So they don't give you complete amount in a single installment. Okay. They will give you maybe 40% or 60% in the beginning. So how you will utilize that 60%? Okay. So you have to prioritize your maybe even the procurement. If you have planned for procuring equipment for 20 lakh rupees, maybe first 60% you have to out of those 25 lakh rupees, you can procure only 2 or 3 equipment. So you have to define the priorities, right? Then provides the insight, indicates how money will be spent. Okay. And what about the direct cost or indirect cost? Again, that is the important component of a budget. So budget preparation is again very important while preparing a RFP, right? What are the costs which are involved? They call it as the direct cost. Under direct cost, you may get salary grants, not for yourself basically, because if you are a regular employee of some organization, you will not get any salary for carrying out research. But for your research fellow, okay, you will get some money. Okay, maybe fellowship or salary, maybe fringe benefits. You may get certain fund under the travel head, okay, for carrying out surveys or for attending conferences and so on, right? So each and everything you have to jot down, and you have to come up that you can plan one international conference, one national conference. You have to allocate money for that. And just one thing I would like to tell you, that is, whatever money you are getting, you have to use it for that purpose only. For example, if you are getting a travel grant of 5 lakh rupees, you cannot use that 5 lakh rupees for procurement of equipment. They are very strict on that, right? So these budget head are very important, right? Budget head are very important. Then what about the equipment cost? Okay, what about the supplies and so on? So these are the direct cost, right? Similarly, you have got certain indirect costs, what they call it as the administrative cost, maybe utilities. You are paying rent to your society or the organization for some or the other purpose. Maybe you are hiring some legal services. You are hiring a chartered accountant, okay, for getting your statement of account certified. So again, you can pay for that legal services. You can have some insurance cost as well. Okay. So it is normally in the percentage of the total cost of the project, maybe 10%, 5%. Okay. And some extra money again you get for some other purpose as well. So everything is specified, but the only thing is that you have to use the money for which it has been allocated to you. Okay, you cannot reappropriate the fund from one head to the another, right? So you have indirect cost, you have direct cost. You have to take utmost care while dealing with these, rather preparing the budget. Okay, and you have to justify your budget, right? So budget justification has to be there. That is rational behind the numbers. Why you are putting 5 lakh rupees for equipment or travel grant? You have to have some justification, because this is normally asked in the defense. Okay, when you defend your project, okay, they ask you these kind of questions only. So usually templates are provided by the funding agency, government agencies. They provide you certain templates. Okay, amount requested should be equal to amount funded. This is another simple mantra, right? Expenses and personal costs, goals of the project, right? Again, you have to keep a balance between these two. Okay, cost may increase over time, right? Let's say you have submitted a project in 2024, but you are getting the sanction in 2025. Okay, one year later. So it may happen that certain equipment cost, due to government, you can say the policies and so on, okay, it may increase. Okay, so you have to keep that aspect again in your mind. That is, you can put certain money for that. Okay, read and know the funding guidelines inside and out, right? So you have to read all the funding guidelines thoroughly. Then and then you can prepare a good budget. Okay, so this is all about budget. Then it comes to the evaluation. Normally, there are two types of evaluation which are being carried out. In certain cases, you have internal evaluator, okay, or certain funding agencies, they go for some external evaluator. They ask some professors or the scientists working in that domain to work as an evaluator. So someone who is not working on the grant, who can provide you certain objective feedback, you can approach them, right? Then colleges and university not associated with the project. Okay, let's say I am submitting a proposal from Sant Gadge Baba Amravati University, maybe some fellows in some other university, he may be my evaluator. Okay, so there are internal or certain universities has got for scrutiny purposes some internal evaluation. Okay, and then they jot down certain projects and then send it to the funding agency. Is always there, right? So again, evaluation, when it comes to evaluation, there are two types of evaluation plan. One is the formative, takes place before or during the project's implementation. Okay. Last one is nothing but the summative, that is at the end. You have to submit a detailed report, okay, wherein you have to narrate everything, what were the objectives, and then how you have achieved those objectives. And so you have to come up with a detail. So getting grant is little bit easy, I should say, but doing all these activities require a lot of efforts and time, right? So, but formative and summative evaluations are there. In between, again, there are some evaluation, like say midterm evaluation projects, evaluation is there. Okay, maybe 3 years timeline is there. So after 1.5 years, they may ask you to present your progress. Okay, so that they can release the further grant, or if your performance is not satisfactory, they can stop your grant. Okay, that again happens many times, right? So you have to be little bit, I should say, proactive for getting all those formalities done, right? Then you have to have some dissemination plan, that is sharing your success stories and lessons learned with others, with the other people. Maybe you can have in person, or you can use some written methods, or you can use some electronic media, okay, or you can conduct certain workshop, or you can prepare a YouTube video and send it to or share it with the rest of the community. So dissemination has to be there, okay, whatever you have done, right? Then what are the sources of, you can say, continuing funding? Okay, it is not, the things are changing with a jet speed. Okay, that is, the conventional funding agencies are undoubtedly there. But apart from that, you have other sources of funding. If your idea is worth, then definitely you can approach these kind of people as well, wherein you can go to some corporate sponsorship. You can go for a commercialization of your product. You can gather some membership fee if you are developing some platform, or you can go and approach some crowdfunding people or angel investor. Okay, so there are a lot of options available, right? So there are numerous sources of continuous funding, right? So it is not merely the government or the government aided agencies. Okay, they fund you. Okay, but if your idea is good, you can approach even the crowdfunding people or angel investor as well, right? So there again, you need to pitch your idea. If your idea is good enough, you can get the money. So money is not a problem nowadays, right? So you can get the corporate sponsorship, as I have told you, or you can get the commercialization of the product or services. Okay, that is the another area. You can gather or collect some membership fees. Again, from there, you can raise some money. Okay, you can go for crowdfunding. Okay, projects is funded through, you can say, soliciting a large number of people, Kickstarter or GoFunding sort of things are there. Okay, you can approach them, or you can go to angel investors. So this is some small list which I have prepared here, right? So these are the top 10 angel investors in India, right? In our country only, right? Sunil Karla is there. Okay, then Sachin Thagra, okay, Kunal Shah, okay, Zishan Hayat, and so on and so forth, right? So you can even approach them for getting the money, right? But in this case, your idea has to be definitely worth considering, right? This is all about how to prepare the RFP and get the money. Okay. Apart from that, most of the RFP has got certain appendices, right? So these appendices require, you can say, the formal approval from various agencies. Okay. So letters of support you have to have from your institution. Your institution on their letterhead, they must give you. So these are all time consuming, right? And you have a deadline. Okay. So you need to plan about all these activities as well. So use the exact format as specified in the guidelines. For example, the sponsorship certificate, normally they give you the template. Okay. If you don't follow the template, even though the meanings are same, they will not accept it. Most of the funding agencies, typically government agencies, they are very reluctant. Okay. They want exactly the manner in which it has been notified in the notification. So resume or curriculum vitae of the PI and the team, use the exact format as specified in the guidelines. Let's say for the PI, if they are asking for only 2-page resume or curriculum vitae, you have to use it. Okay, only 2-page, not more than that. Okay, audited statement of the organization, maybe your society or the college you are working with, maybe NBA, NAC accreditation and certification. These are essentially needed. Okay, without NBA or NAC accreditation, you cannot approach any funding agency. So this is mandatory, right? So these appendices are equally important. What are the best practices? Okay, so read the RFP submission guidelines carefully. Gather documents early as there are dependencies, because there are certain things you have to get it from somebody else. Okay, make it good and readable. Okay. Apart from that, what are the common mistakes? If you remember, I have told you that is, we'll see how to start from scratch and how you can finish it up writing the proposal. But what are the common mistakes normally we commit? Okay, so what are the writing mistakes? Allocate the time for reading and review. Okay, it should not be, let's say tomorrow is the deadline and I am just if I am preparing a proposal and submitting it without reading it thoroughly and reviewing it. So you have to have some time specified for that particular purpose. Make milestone to monitor your progress. Create a meaningful title. Okay, the title is very important, right? If your title, from the title itself, if your objectives are not clear, okay, or they are misleading, okay, there is every possibility that you will not get the fund, right? So avoid unclear, unstructured or vague writing. Do not provide too much details, highly dangerous. Okay, don't reveal everything about how you are going to achieve it. Okay, keep it abstract. Do not forget the human element. Okay, tell a compelling story about the impact of your proposal once it is implemented, and be strong and confident, right? So whatever you write, okay, you have to have these things. Okay, and these are the mistakes normally we commit while writing the proposal. Writing tone should be friendly and simple. Don't be overconfident. At the same time, it should not feel that you are overconfident, right? That is again you have to avoid. How to avoid it? That is again needs some discussion. Avoid jargon and buzzwords. Don't use abbreviation. Okay, another mistake normally we commit is we use abbreviation. Since we are into that domain, we are well accustomed with those abbreviations. But let's say the person who is evaluating, not necessarily belong to the same domain, may happen that he may face certain difficulties. And apart from that, it is always better to avoid abbreviations. Make it easy to read. Use typically 12-point format. Use images wherever possible. Okay, images are again very important. Think like a reviewer. Whatever you write, you think as if you are the reviewer, you are the evaluator. Okay, that will give you an insight. Okay, what are the mistakes you are committing? So these are the typical writing mistakes. Okay, scope mistakes. Don't be over ambitious. Okay, you have to confine your scope which is achievable. Keep your goals reasonable. Keep in mind the duration of the time frame. Okay, make sure your grants are feasible and measurable. Okay, don't lose focus on the goal. Make sure your project matches your team's skill set. Allocate the time needed. Explain how you will solve the problem, right? Scope mistakes, again, we are many times over ambitious, right? And we write many things in the scope, but again, that is not the right way of doing things, right? Scope tips: propose only a few key outcomes. Don't put too many, maybe 2, 3 or 4 at max is enough. Okay, make sure you have access to the resources. Let's say I am proposing something wherein I am not getting the access to the equipment. Then how can I achieve the result, right? So make sure you have the access to the resources. It is mandatorily needed, right? Budget mistake: not asking for enough money. Okay, you are asking, you require, let's say 50 lakh rupees and you are asking for 10 lakh rupees. So, okay, nothing is possible in that small amount. Okay, so refer the guidelines for the limit of funding amount that I have already told you. Asking too much money, again, that is dangerous. If you demand in crores, again, that is not viable, right? Not paying enough attention to the budget narrative, budget justification or budget details. So budget justification, budget detail, all these things you have to take utmost care while writing. Not properly calculating fringe benefits, not having the right number for expenses, not accounting for early increase in salary. Okay, and miscalculation of numbers. It happens many times. Most of the time it happens. Miscalculation means the total is something else. Okay, whereas the actual total is something else, right? So you have to be very cautious because you are putting a proposal, right? So 1 0 can change the entire figure, right? So with this, I think I have finished up the very first part. Okay, very first part of my presentation. I don't know how much time has been allotted to me. If there are any question as far as this is concerned, whatever I have told you, okay, you can fire it now, or otherwise I need your intervention, Gateja sir.
Yes, yes, sir. You can please.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, whatever I have covered just now, this is typically I have covered with regard to that is how you can write a proposal for fetching the grant, right? So if you have any specific queries,
So I request all the participants, if they have any query, they can put it in chat box or ask to sir.
or otherwise you can unmute yourself and you can ask. By the time, Ajay sir,
Yes, sir.
when you have planned your this thing, that is valedictory function or something like that, or how much I can still go ahead. That is, it is 4:30 probably.
Yes, sir. Actually, we have planned the valedictory and small test we have planned. So
okay.
after your session, sir. So once your
My
session will over,
okay.
then we can proceed for the rest
because
of
the
things.
next topic which has been assigned to me,
Yes.
which when I was talking with you in the afternoon, you said Jawandia sir has covered, some aspects of plagiarism and so on.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, but I was a little bit, what I have planned is I wanted to talk on what is called as the academic integrity.
Yes, sir. You can please.
So if there are no questions, then we'll move ahead with the second part of it. Okay, maybe half an hour or at max 60 minutes, we will finish it up.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Sure. Okay. So let's move ahead with the second topic. Okay. This is all about the grant writing and proposal writing, right? And the second one is basically the academic integrity, right? If it has been already covered, then I will not talk, sir.
No. Academic integrity is not being covered in last 4-5 days.
Okay.
So that will be more helpful to every individual to listen more on this.
Great. But I'll just try to discuss this particular thing with regard to the various, and this is being a researcher, I don't know the participants, whether they are PhD or they are active researcher. Okay, I don't know the group to whom I am talking about, but for everyone, this is very important, right? Academic integrity. Now, UGC has come up with a stringent guideline, I should say, on the academic integrity, right? And the publication ethics, research publication ethics. So my deliberation in this particular session will be more or less a generic kind of thing, not to a specific discipline or branch, but in general, we'll see what this academic integrity is all about, what is the publication or professional ethics, okay, and what is expected from all of us belonging to, you can say, the teaching fraternity or academia, right? So this is what is there on the agenda, right? Overview of academic integrity, need of academic integrity, duplicate publication, authorship and order, scientific misconduct. Okay,
Hello.
wherein
Sir,
I think,
hello.
Yes.
Sir, your slides are not visible.
Not visible. Oh.
No, sir. Only thank you slide is visible.
Still. Oh, acha, sorry. Thank you. Okay, let me share. Okay. चलिए 1 minute. New share. Is this okay now? Somebody
Yes,
has
sir.
to confirm.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Is this okay? Yes. So this is, as I've told you, that is, I'll be talking on academic integrity and some research publication ethics. So we'll start from scratch. This is what is there on the agenda. I don't know whether somebody has covered on COI or plagiarism or COPE, WAME, ICMG or IEEE Code of Ethics. These things are covered by somebody else, sir? Ajay, sir.
No, sir.
Last session, that's why I'm troubling you. Anyway.
No, sir. No, sir. It is not yet been.
Okay, no problem. Right? So why do we write? The very first thing is, whenever it comes to writing, forget about research publication and all. In general, why do we write? These are the reasons, right? We need to convey some information. Okay, maybe we want to express our thoughts. Okay, we want to complete an assignment. Maybe for some, you can say for thesis, earlier it was mandatory. Now the UGC has again relaxed it. That is, you, even if you don't have any publication, you can submit your thesis, right? So they have delinked it, because looking at the quality of publication and the issues arising out of it, okay, they have withdrawn that circular that you have to have these many number of publication and so on. Okay, you may be writing just becoming famous. Okay, you may be writing for organizing your thoughts. Okay, remember your thoughts. Okay, some maintain some historical records. So these are the obvious reason why do we write. But writing is it that simple, right? If you look at certain stories, and you will be shocked, right? This is why do we require this academic integrity, right? What is the need? Okay, this slide will give you an insight about what is there, right? So a speech made by Melania Trump versus Michelle Obama, okay, in 2016, very recent case. Okay, she has been accused of plagiarism for a speech she made at the Republican National Convention 2016. Okay, this is one story, right? Harry Potter is the another famous story, okay, which is again very popular and renowned, right? Then Lord of Rings series by JJR, right? That is the another story. So there are, at international level, there are numerous stories. Okay, so when it comes to integrity, okay, this is very obvious that people write by simply copying and pasting certain things, right? So it happens many times, right? So what is expected when it comes to integrity is you have to basically cite the source from where you are getting the information. For example, this slide, let's say I have taken from this particular source, HTTPS, okay, powered by orange.com. Okay, if I acknowledge it, this is not breach of academic integrity or right ethics, professional ethics. So you have to acknowledge it. That is what is expected at max. Okay, let's look at certain things at the national level. You must be aware about these 5 famous plagiarism cases in India. Okay, again, source is copyleaks.com, right? So 5 plagiarized article on Indian Foundation websites. Big names like, say, MJ Akbar, Nirmala Sitharaman, who is the honorable, you can say, the finance minister, right? Swapn Das Gupta and others. Chemistry professor accused of plagiarizing more than 70 articles, right? This is again very famous, right? And so on and so forth. Plagiarism accusation against Dr. Gurunathan and his group. Okay, so what has happened? It has grown tremendously during this 2007 to 2011, right? And that's why we need to understand why this academic integrity is needed, right? So what are ethics? What do you do? Let's say if you found some money lying on the street. Let's say you are walking on the street and you found some money lying on the street. Okay, so there are various possibilities. We'll just try to understand what ethics is all about, right? So leave it as it is. Okay, some of the people will choose this option, or the other fellow will pick it up and spend it. Okay, the another fellow pick it up and give it to the charity. Or let's say if the person is very hungry, he will pick it up and have food. Right, that is again possible. Now, whether which one is, you can say, ethically correct out of these 4 options? Yeah, I want some answer from your end. or everything is okay? All the 4 options are good. Yes, anybody? You can unmute yourself. I don't know whether you can do it or not. Any one of you, please respond.
Sir, I'll pick it up and will give it to charity.
Great, right? So you feel that is the right ethical things one should do. Okay. If I leave it as it is, how you will grade this? Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. So whether you will put pick it up and give it to charity as number 1, then number 2, all are correct, right? Whatever you do is correct. Only the second option is little bit, I should say, pick it up and spend it. Spend it again circumstantial. Let's say you are hungry since last 4 days. Okay, you don't have anything to eat and you found 500 rupees note on the street. Obviously, what you will do? You will pick it up and have lunch or dinner, right? Depending upon the time, right? So, what is ethics? Ethical behavior basically depends on many factors. Okay, the very first thing is the individual, then the circumstances, then the moral intensity with the situation, right? So, the individual, okay, the circumstances, for example, you must have seen a lot of movies based on this theme, कि भाई आदमी by birth चोर नहीं होता है, right? The circumstances made him to commit crimes and so on, right? So ethically, right, whether it is correct or not, right? Let's say you have supervisor have told you that you have to write 5 papers, okay, and you have got only 6 months with you, okay, your registration is about to expire. Definitely you will follow certain things, but whether it is correct, ethically correct or not, that is the question we are trying to understand, right? So ethics is basically based on 2 theories, what they call it as absolutism and relativism, right? What is absolutism? One set of moral rules common to all, rules unlikely to change. Okay, they call it as a dogmatic kind of thing, and absolute truth exists. Relativism, many acceptable set of rules. As I have told you, out of 4 options, 3 options are correct, right? Many acceptable set of rules, right? Rule change over time. It is pragmatic, okay, and there is no absolute truth, right? So there is no absolute truth as such. Everything is true, circumstantial, right? And so on, right? So ethics basically talks about these 2 theories, and if you can understand the difference between these 2, you can very well design what ethical behavior is expected when it comes to research, or more specifically, research publications, right? So why do ethical issues arise in publication? Because journal exists to enhance the scientific database. See, ultimately it is business, right? For journals, they want quality papers in their journals, right? So enhance seniority and promotion. Definitely they earn money out of it. Okay, you publish it for free, you submit your manuscript to them, okay, without and give all the copyrights to them, okay, by simply putting your signature without even reading what is there on the copyright form, right? But who is making money out of it? Definitely the publisher, okay, or the company, and so on, right? So ultimately money is involved at some way or the other. And that's why UGC, after realizing the importance of academic integrity, they have come up with an notification, what they call it as the academic integrity notification, okay, wherein they have defined academic integrity as is the intellectual honesty in proposing, performing, and reporting any activity, which leads to the creation of intellectual property, or IPR in short, right? So it is basically the intellectual honesty which is expected, okay, in every small activity, not only in proposing, okay, you should not buy the idea from somebody else, okay, while performing the experimentation, reporting the result, okay, results are even manipulated most of the times, right? So which leads to the creation of intellectual property, right? This is how the UGC has defined it, right? So why do we compromise integrity? Because there are reasons to it, right? Either you publish or perish, okay? it is linked with your promotions. Okay, nowadays you have got API based promotion framework in place, right? You have to have minimum 120 points in your API yearly, then and then you are eligible for associate professor or professor and so on. So you have got certain cap. Okay, you want to become famous or you get monetary rewards. For example, in China, they give you some monetary rewards. If you publish good paper, you will get money. Okay, government will give you money, right? They will give you certain awards for that particular purpose, right? So these are the reasons, and that's why many times we compromise the integrity, right? So the very first thing which comes under this is, which is very serious, I should say, is the duplicate publication. That is, your supervisor or the authority or wherever you are working, they are asking you to publish 5 papers in an academic year. Okay, but you have only one idea. What you will do? You will republish the same idea again and again. Okay, maybe you will put it in 5 different slides. In some paper, you will report the result. In some paper, you will report, you will rather manipulate the result and get it published once again. So submitting the same manuscript to 2 or more journals at once, that is again duplicate. Okay, that's why most of the time they ask you, it should not be submitted somewhere else, right? Dividing one research paper into many little papers, they call it as slimy slicing. Okay, so that comes under duplicate publication. So this is again dangerous, and this is very commonly practiced by most of the academia, right? But it is very dangerous. What about the authorship? Authors include a student or a faculty or a researcher or staff of higher education institution who claims to be the creator of the work under consideration. This is what has been defined by UGC. This is not I am talking about, right? So who is the author? He may be a student or a faculty or a researcher or a staff, maybe lab assistant, okay, or higher technical education who claims to be the creator of the work under consideration, right? So it is not necessarily the author is always the supervisor or the researcher, right? So it may be n number of entities are, n number of possibilities are there. Substantial contribution to the conception and design of a paper, or acquisition of data, or analysis and interpretation data. When you can become an author, or when you claim to be an author of a particular thing, when you contribute in some way or the other, okay, in drafting the article or revising it critically for important intellectual content, and final approval of the version to be published, right? So maybe editing it, maybe you can say revising it, okay, critically, but you have to have some contribution into it, okay? Then and then you can claim that you are the author of that particular book, right? Then authorship order is again important. Discuss the order of authorship at the beginning. That is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Okay. Revise decision on authorship during the write-up process if required. Okay, let's say you feel that the second person is contributing more, you can promote him as number 1. Okay, so all author takes responsibility of the content in the manuscript. It is not like that you have written the paper, your supervisor is not responsible for it, right? Because moment you submit the paper, mail will be fired to him or her indicating that this is the manuscript this person has submitted, wherein you are one of the co-author. So later on, you cannot say that, well, I am not the author of this particular thing, right? If some plagiarism or some another issues are there, you cannot shoulder your responsibility to somebody else, right? So disclose if any third party is involved in the writing, maybe professional writers or consulting firms. Again, that is, if it is there, you need to disclose it in the beginning, right? You can take help, no problem, but you have to disclose it. You have to put it on paper, acknowledge it on paper. Okay, if you are getting some services, right? But this normally never happens, right? In reality, things are a little bit different, right? So what is scientific misconduct? It is fabrication or falsification, right? Making up data or result and reporting them, fabricating the result, manipulating the result, or falsification, that is manipulating research material, equipment, or process, or changing or omitting data or result with the intent to change the outcome. The results you want to manipulate, result you want to change. So you are manipulating certain equipments. Okay, you are intentionally doing some, you can say, calibration and so on to arrive at a specific result, right? That is again falsification, which is again comes under scientific misconduct, right? Which is punishable. I'll tell you what are the punishment and so on. The another scientific misconduct is the plagiarism, right? When somebody represent the work of another person's idea, process, result, or words as if they were his oblique her own without proper acknowledgement. This is what has been defined by UGC, right? So if you are stealing the idea or the, you can say the content or the maybe the stuff, some of the paragraphs, and then pasting it in your own publication, okay, that is what is called as the plagiarism, right? So types of plagiarism, again, you have various types, wherein you may even borrow an idea. So plagiarism of ideas occurs when one fails to acknowledge the origin of the thought. Okay. You may go for plagiarism, what they call it as sources. Plagiarism of sources occurs when one does not attribute the correct sources for a piece of writing or an argument. Okay. You are not citing it in the references properly. You are not acknowledging it. That is again plagiarism. Authorship. Plagiarism of authorship occurs when one claims authorship of an entire work without actually fulfilling the criteria for authorship. So what is the criteria for authorship? That we have already seen, right? So if you are not contributing, you are simply, you are not doing anything, but your name appears over there. That is again, that comes under plagiarism, right? That comes under, again, it is punishable. Then the most common form of plagiarism is what they call it as the words, okay, wherein verbatim of word for word plagiarism occurs when one copies or uses portion of the text written by another without clearly demonstrating appropriate quotation and citation standards. So if you double quote, if you copy one or two paragraphs, doesn't matter, but you have to put it in double quotation marks, which indicates that it is not your work, it is somebody else's works. And you have to cite in the references, well, this extract you have taken from so and so book, or whatever is the source, maybe a paper or a book or whatever, right? Or maybe a manual. So if you do not do so, then you will be charged with plagiarism, right? Okay. Another type of plagiarism is what they call it as the self-plagiarism, right? So it is a type of plagiarism in which the writer republishes a work in its entirety or reuses portion of the previously written text while authoring a new work. It includes republishing the same paper already published, publishing smaller scripted work from a longer and previous without due and full citation, reusing data already used in the published work or communicated for publication in another work without due and full citation. This is once again as specified in UGC notification number, dated B April 2020, right? So self-plagiarism, even though you have written a paper, your own paper, and from there you are writing a new paper and you are copying, pasting it, okay, that is again not allowed. It comes under plagiarism, right? So self-plagiarism, what they call it as, it is debatable. Some of the people feel that it should be allowed because it was your own work, but again, it is dangerous, right? Self-plagiarism. So breaking up a larger study into smaller 4 or 5 paper, one large paper, again publishing it, that is again self-plagiarism. Paraphrasing one's own previously published work without due and full citation of the original, that is again self-plagiarism, right? So under self-plagiarism, again, you have a lot of things, right? Again, broadly, plagiarism you can categorize into 2 categories, what they call it as the unintentional plagiarism and intentional plagiarism. We'll go one by one. Paraphrasing poorly, that is changing the sentence structure but not the words, or changing few words without changing the structure. Okay. So for this particular purpose, nowadays, even the tools are available, online tools are available for paraphrasing. Okay, but don't use those things. So quoting poorly, that is putting quotation mark around a passage that is partly paraphrased and partly quoted. Okay, that is again unintentional plagiarism, right? Citing poorly, omitting an occasional citation or citing inaccurately. This comes under unintentional plagiarism, but still it is plagiarism, right? Intentional plagiarism, passing off one's own pre-written papers from the internet or other sources, copying an essay from the internet, online sources or electronic database without quoting or giving credit, cutting and pasting from more than one sources to create a paper without quoting or giving credit. This is intentional and this is highly dangerous and it is punishable as well. What is the punishment? That I'll tell you, right? What is excluded from plagiarism? What is not considered as plagiarism? All quoted work reproduced with all necessary permission and or attribution. Okay, if you are copying it one complete page or 2 pages, but if you are putting it in double quotation mark or you are properly citing it in the references, then it will not be considered as a plagiarism. All references, bibliography, table of content, preface and acknowledgements, that is again not considered as a plagiarism. All generic terms, laws, standard symbols and standard equations, you know, they will not be considered as plagiarism. Common language or coincidental terms, that is up to 14 consecutive words, that is 1 to 14. If it is more than that, it will be considered as plagiarism. So 14 is the limit. Common language or coincidental terms, right? Common language means well-established fact, quote, figure or information that is known to the most of the people. Okay, this is again the source is again UGC notification, right? 23rd July 2018, right? So this is not considered as a plagiarism, right? Now penalties. Now this is very important. Being a researcher or being from academia, you must know that what are the various levels of plagiarism and what is the penalty in each case, right? So this is being imposed by UGC, again the same notification, 23rd July 2018, level 0, similarities up to 10%, minor similarities no penalty. Up to 10% means 9 or even 10 is allowed, right? But more than 10, that is 11, is not allowed. 10, it will be treated as level 1. Similarities about 10% to 40%. Such student shall be asked to submit a revised script within a stipulated time period not exceeding 6 months. Okay. So level 1. Level 2, similarities above 40% to 60%. Such student shall be debarred from submitting a revised script for a period of 1 year. You will not be allowed to submit your thesis, right? Level 3, similarities above 60%. Such student registration for that program shall be cancelled, right? Even your PhD registration can be cancelled if it is more than 60%, right? So UGC has come up with a very stringent, I should say, penalties, okay, when it comes to plagiarism, right? So this you need to know, being a researcher, right? You have to understand it and you must take it very seriously. Those who are particularly in government setups, okay, even in their service book, normally the notes with regard to these things can be taken up. If your authorities are little serious about plagiarism, okay, it can be taken up very seriously and it may lead to some serious consequences, okay, denying your promotions and so on, right? So it is not easy. Now penalties in research publication, this is what I have talked about, submission of thesis and dissertation. I am talking about now the paper publication. Level 0, similarities up to 10%, minor similarities no penalty. Level 1, 10 to 40 shall be asked to withdraw the script. You have to withdraw your script. Level 2, similarities above 40 to 60 shall be asked to withdraw the script, shall be denied right to 1 annual increment. See, this is very serious. Even your increment, annual increment can be stopped based on this, right? Then shall not be allowed to be a supervisor to any new master's, MPhil, PhD student for a period of 2 years. Okay. So this is again very serious, you can say, punishment. Okay. Level 3, similarities shall be asked to withdraw the script, shall be denied right to 2 annual increments, and shall not be allowed to be a supervisor to any new master's, MPhil student for a period of 3 years. Even your supervisorship can be on stake, right? So very dangerous. Penalties in research publication, right? Okay. So this is all about the plagiarism and all. What are the penalties? Being a researcher, you need to know. One important aspect, we'll just have a look at what they call it as the conflict of interest, right? This is normally not there in our cases, but particularly in medical research, or you can say the pharma companies and all. Okay, this is very, very, very important. Okay, and this plays a very vital role in that case, right? So COI basically it exists when there is a divergence between an individual's private interest, that is the competing interest, and his or her responsibilities to scientific and publishing activities. Let's say somebody is the, you can say, the editor of a particular book or a journal, okay, and you are having a good relationship and you are getting it published, your data, okay, by putting his name and so on, right? So this comes under COI, right? So to scientific and publishing activities such that a reasonable observer might wonder if the individual's behavior or judgment was motivated by consideration of his or oblique her competing interest, right? So you have to disclose it. Most of the, you can say, reputed journal, they normally provide you, just like you have a copyright form. On the parallel line, you have to disclose your conflict of interest, whether you have some kind of relationship with that journal or that company or that pharma company or maybe that enterprise. In some way or the other, you have to explicitly disclose what position you enjoy there. So conflict of interest exists when a participant in the publication process, maybe an author, peer reviewer, or editor, has a competing interest that could unduly influence or to be reasonably seen to do so his or her responsibility in the publication process. So you are influencing the, or rather manipulating the publication process and getting your paper published, okay, that may lead to this kind of scenario, right? So submission of manuscript, peer review, editorial decision, and communication between authors, reviewers, and editors. Okay. For this particular purpose, COI, the source is WAMI, that is World Association of Medical Editors. So WAMI is an organization, just like in our technical field, we have got IEEE and so on. On the parallel line, in medical publication, they have an organization called as WAMI. So they have come up with this detailed definition of COI, and normally they ask for disclosing this conflict of interest in the beginning. Okay, while you submit your publication paper or article, okay, they will ask you to disclose the conflict of interest. Right now, again, you have various types of conflict of interest. A clear statement of example of the types, you can say, of the competing interest and their definition, okay, must be declared. Whether you are getting some salary or you are getting some money for that particular process, should include the following. Okay, but there could be other reasons as well. Financial ties, you may have some academic commitments, you may have some personal relationship, political or religious belief, institutional affiliation, and so on, right? So some way or the other, you are exploiting those things. Okay, let's say if you have a personal relationship with the editor and you are misusing it for getting your paper published, okay, which is of not worth, right, quality, and somewhere it is being compromised, then this kind of scenario will exist, right? Types of conflict of interest. So declaring the conflict of interest, disclosure forms are used. Normally, you have, just like a copyright form, in the parallel line, you have got a COI, disclosure form, which includes clear statements on what is to be declared, when and to whom, format for declaration. Okay, just like you have a copyright form wherein you, when you put your signature, you assign all your rights to the publisher or the journal editor and so on. So a journal's role in asking additional questions or seeking clarification about disclosures, and consequences for failing to disclose before or after publication, right? So this is there again, the source is WAMI, right? So how to manage it? Again, they have come up with different flowcharts wherein how to deal with this kind of scenario. Again, that has been explicitly mentioned over there. I'll not go into the details because we are running short of time, right? There is another committee which is there. This is again more or less for what they call it as when it comes to ethics. Okay, this COPE is one of the organization, right, which is once again it is a non-profit organization which was established in 1977. Committee on Publication Ethics. In short, they call it as a COPE, COPE, right? So it has started in only 3 members were there initially. Then 97 to 2003, 90 members, 3,000 plus members. Nowadays, you have got 12,500 plus members are there. And their tagline is promoting integrity in scholarly research and its publication. There are 18 flowcharts for dealing with different cases. And for example, if you refer to IEEE Code of Ethics for Publication, you will find that they have a very beautiful document wherein they talk about what action, just like UGC has given penalties and so on the parallel line, you may be blocked for any kind of publication in IEEE if your plagiarism is so and so, right? So on the parallel line, this scope has come up with some 18 flowcharts for handling various issues. Okay, it is not only plagiarism, but other issues, maybe COI or other issues as well. Okay, that you can very well go through from this URL, that is publicationethics.org, right? The name itself is this COPE, this is the URL, right? So COPE code of conduct is there. Editor should be responsible for everything published in their journals. Okay, earlier they were away from all these responsibilities and so on. But COPE has clearly come up with a code of conduct for the editor as well. Okay, and they have to follow all these guidelines, whatever is there on this particular slide, right? There are core practices of COPE, allegation of misconduct, authorship and contributions, contributorship, and so on. So under various domain, you have got conflict of interest, journal management, say post-publication discussion and correction. It happens many times that you get your article published and later on somebody raises an objection. Okay, and then in that case, you have to not only withdraw your article, but you have to give in writing, well, this is a plagiarized kind of thing, or there was some conflict of interest, whatever may be the reason, and you have to submit a written apology to the journal, right? It happens, right? So it is very dangerous, what I mean to say. It is not a one-time activity. Whatever is there on the web, okay, it is forever. So anybody can sue you at any point of time. So there are many cases. I will not go into the details, but in our region as well, there are people having these kinds of suits in the court of law as well, right? So Word Association of, you can say WAME, it was established in 1995. Again, they have various ethics. I will not go into the details because we don't have time, right? Again, for peer review and other things, again, they have got various definitions of a peer review journal. Okay, what is the impact factor? Even impact factor nowadays, it is being manipulated, right? So what are the registration of clinical trials? This is not applicable in our case, but when it comes to, you can say, medicine and so on, okay, they have to even register the clinical trials. Without registering the clinical trials, they are not allowed to take. Okay, but in some cases, if it is being reported that the proper permissions were not sought, then again, it may lead to certain action on the violated, right? So again, what is authors? Who is the author? Authorship? All those things are clearly defined here. And again, the conflict of interest. So you need to go through this WAME website. You will find that again, a lot of stuff is there with regard to medical and so on, right? Again, they have a lot of resources as well. WAME resources are there. Ethics case discussions are there, and so on, right? Last one is ICMG. So this is one of the most powerful international committee of medical journals, right? Medical journal editors. Okay, that is again very powerful organization. Only 16 members are there, but again there a lot of recommendations are there, and the URL is icmg.org. Again, you can go through this. Okay, they again talk about you can say they have a committee specifically for this professional ethics or publication ethics. Okay. So they have a code of conduct, okay, and it was started in 78. Now it is being adopted and followed by almost all the journals, all the large journals, irrespective of whether they are from medical side or not. But most of them, they are following this as a standard guidelines, right? So I'll not go into the history and so on, right? ICMG, right? So these are the various, you can say, the organizations, they are working hard for imposing, I should say, or for regulating the code of ethics in publication. So with this, I think it's not 5 o'clock, right? I'll stop here. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you very much. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
I request to all the participants, if you have any sort of query related to the funding schemes.
Yeah, I very well understand that it is a little bit fast, but the time was a little bit, you can say 1.5 hours. Okay, so we have finished it up, but if you have any specific query, you can fire it now.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, please, sir.
Yeah, this is Nikhilesh Karia from MBA department, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir, we are facing difficulty with self-plagiarism. So, okay, will you please guide on that self-plagiarism? How much extent that self-plagiarism will be permitted in any research paper or even in theses?
Okay. Actually, first of all, it is one type of plagiarism, meaning thereby, even though it is your own text, so, and as far as the limit is concerned, there is no limit as such. That is 10%, 5%. It is not like that. but most of the people in general, they treat it as a plagiarism. Okay, particularly when it comes to thesis and so on. And what happens when you write thesis, at that time you have 4 or 5 odd publication on your name. Okay. And when
Yeah.
you write down the thesis, it is bound to happen that because thesis will talk about what you have already published. And so there is every possibility that you will get self-plagiarism. You know? So there are no restriction, but it's better to avoid it, right? What you can do, you can paraphrase it. Okay. You can write the same stuff in some different language.
Sir, are there any penalties? Sir,
So
are there any penalties on self-plagiarism?
Self-plagiarism, there is no penalty, but your examiner may ask you to rewrite your thesis if he is not convinced with your idea. Are you getting me? So it is a discretion of the examiner. And it is treated as plagiarism only. Most of the people treat it as a plagiarism only, even though it is a self-plagiarism. I hope I have answered it.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Even though it is a plagiarism, but it will be self-plagiarism, but it will be treated as a plagiarism. See, the only way to avoid it is to cite your own paper. What is wrong in that?
Yeah.
Are you getting me? That
Yes,
is
sir.
in
Yes.
the reference, in the reference section, you cite your own paper
Yeah.
and avoid
Sir.
it. It is as simple as that. Yeah.
Sorry, sir, to disturb you in between. Dr. Priyanka here.
Mm.
As I have cited my own paper in my research paper or in my thesis, then again the question arises when we defend, okay, you had given this one in your paper or in your thesis, then what is the difference? What is the different matter? What is the different experiment or different things in this? Then how can we defend at that time?
See, when it comes to paper, normally you come up with some results which are very superficial in nature, right? While writing thesis or anything else, what you can do, you can go in greater detail with some permutation and combination, and you can avoid it.
Yes,
I
sir.
hope
Yes,
I have answered it.
yes, yes.
And,
Thank you.
because see, there is no other way out to avoid self-plagiarism. Because as I have told you, the only way to avoid self-plagiarism is don't publish anything. I'll tell you.
It is not possible, na, sir?
No. Now the UGC has come up. Now they have, earlier they used to ask that it is mandatory to publish one paper in UGC approved, UGC Care Journal or Scopus Index Journal. Now they have taken away all those things. Then they are not saying that for submission of thesis, you don't require to have any kind of publication to your credit. Are you aware about this? Whether you people are
He's
aware?
saying the publish minimum 2 papers, one STI.
No. The respective university needs to adopt it, but the university has, UGC has recently come up with a direction or a notification wherein they are saying that there are no compulsion as far as the publication is concerned when it comes to submission of thesis.
Sir,
Are you getting me? Are you getting me? But-
can I discuss one more thing in this aspect? Sir, our university where we are working, they are saying now patent is also required and one research paper in STI or Scopus and one national paper. 3 things they are saying to do. Then how it can be, no? As a guide,
How can I deny that because the university is giving the rules and regulations like this? Till now,
in our university as well, the existing rules talks about publication and all. But why I'm saying so, the UGC has come up because they have looked at the quality of the publication and then they realize that there is no fun in compelling them to publish paper, right? So they have changed their strategy. Now they ask for no publication, but the work must be, that is again decided by your guide and the research advisory committee. Okay, in our university as well, we have got at present we have got some binding as far as the publication is concerned, but gradually the UGC is relaxing it. Okay.
yeah, UGC is relaxing this. Self-plagiarism can be avoided.
Yes, that can be avoided. Or otherwise, what you can do, you can simultaneously, you can put your paper on hold for a sufficient period of time. Let's say after 3 years, you want to submit the thesis. So before submission of thesis, you go on publishing paper 1, 2, 3, something like that. Right? So that because the Scopus journal or the SCI journal, they minimum require 6 months or a years, right, for publication.
Yes.
So that is the another solution, which is again, it all depends on your guide and so on, right? The university rules, but that can be done. That can be done, right?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir.
But most of the university, they ask for some SCI publication. So what I mean to say is, you go for some SCI publication, very good quality publication, or at least Scopus publication. Don't
Yes.
publish your work in these conferences and so on, right?
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
चलिए, ठीक है. Anything else you want to ask?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, this is Professor Pallavi. I belong to one institute which is in Navi Mumbai side.
Great.
So my question is that can you explain me a little bit about the funding agencies for research? Because my institute is affiliated to Mumbai University, but we don't have research center as such. So
You don't have research center.
So whether I'm eligible for this, how to
No,
proceed for this?
whether your institute is NBA or NAC accredited?
It's NAC accredited, sir. A+ grade we have.
NAC. Is it a
Yeah.
engineering college or a
Engineering.
science?
Engineering.
Engineering college. But you
Yeah.
don't have NBA accreditation.
No, we don't have.
Okay. Because for engineering colleges, some of the funding agencies, they ask for NBA accreditation.
Yeah.
Right. But even if it is NAC accredited, I think you are eligible. You can approach them.
Okay.
Most of them you can approach, right? So different funding agencies has got different eligibility criteria.
Okay.
But if you are not even NAC accredited, then I'm sorry, you are not eligible.
Oh, no.
So
no,
minimum
we
NAC has to be there.
Okay.
Okay.
And sir, for faculties, so like I'm UGC full-time approved faculty. So if there's any ad hoc faculty working, whether they are eligible for this proposal?
Ad hoc faculty are not eligible. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. Okay.
But regular faculty, UGC approved faculty, they are all eligible.
Okay. And the minimum criteria is NAC accreditation.
Minimum criteria is NAC accreditation. But
Okay.
NBA accreditation is some of the cases in some big wherein you want to go for a project which is in crores of rupees. Okay, they go for some kind of clustering and so on. Therein you require this NBA accreditation and so on.
Okay.
Right. But NAC accredited with a good B+ or B++, okay, is all right. No problem. No problem. You are eligible.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And apart from that, your university has your own research funds, if I am not wrong. For example, Mumbai and Pune, they are having some research fund.
Yes, minor research funds.
Yeah, minor, maybe
yes.
2-3 lakh rupees they allocate
Yes.
you.
Yes. Yes. Sir.
And I don't know exactly the amount, but it is there in.
Yeah, up to 1 lakh they are giving.
Yeah,
Yes.
up to 1 lakh. Okay, that is a minor research project.
Yes.
Okay, that again you can fetch.
Yes.
Okay, लेकिन normally we ignore. We are from technical side, so normally we ignore DST, CSIR. These people are again very open. They don't have any reservation.
Okay.
I know. So, but your idea must be worth considering. But most of them, they look for certain societal impact. So you have to mold your idea. For example, you are working on WSN, say for example. Okay. But if you can link that particular thing with woman empowerment, right? Same thing. You
Yes.
can propose a gadget which can empower the woman in difficult situations.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that way you have to push it.
That projection is important. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they normally ask for societal benefit, right? So that you have to justify some way or the other.
Okay. So there's a kind of any reservation or any quota for the
No, not at
women
all.
in
Not at
research?
all.
No,
Not at
no,
all.
no,
But
gender.
unwritten quota is there. That is unwritten quota. Why I'm saying because it all depends upon the region to which you belong to. For example, let's say from Maharashtra, looking at the population of the number of universities and the state demographic conditions, let's say 100 proposals are there.
Okay.
So normally unwritten, they have say maybe 10 or 20 proposals that target 10 or 20. So you must be in that 10 top 20. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you will get the funding. But again, it is not written. And if it is worth, they may go beyond that. Right.
Okay.
But unwritten rules are there. Let's say if you belong to Northeast, okay, there are great chances that you will get the proposals, right? But there are no reservation apart from that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Chali. Okay, sir.
Okay, madam. Go for the
Okay, sir.
next. Proceed for the next one.
This is all
Okay,
from
sir.
my end. Right. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for sir for sharing your valuable thoughts and deep knowledge about writing research proposal and academic integrity with us. It is very much needed in today's scenario, and guidance generally on these topics are not. We do not get the guidance on these topics. So thank you so much, sir, for considering these topics for the session. Your session was full of enthusiasm, valuable knowledge, and new ideas that ignited the minds of all the participants. It will be a great pleasure for us to listen to you again in the future events. Now, moving to the valedictory function for this FTP. I welcome.
Sorry to
Yes, sir.
interrupt you. May I
Yes, sir.
leave? May I leave?
Yes, sir. Okay.
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 Thank you once
Thank you
again.
so much, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye for now.
Moving towards the valedictory function of this FDP, I welcome Chairman of the Institute, Honorable Shri Praveen Kumarji Pote, Vice Chairman, Honorable Mr. Shreyas Kumar Pote, Principal Dr. D.T. Ingole, sir, Vice Principal Dr. Mohammed Zuhair, sir, and HOD, Dr. A.B. Gadicha, Research HOD AI and DS Department. I also welcome our valuable participants, distinguished guests, academicians, researchers, experts, all the respected dean, HOD of various departments, and faculty members for this valedictory function. I request Dr. A.B. Gadicha to say few words on this occasion. Please, sir.
Thank you, madam. We have initiated this faculty development program on 20th of February 2023. Now, on the very first day, Honorable Principal Sir has inaugurated this faculty development program and gives us the aim and objective that why we are organizing such a wonderful FDP in online mode and what is the necessity of recognizing research and methodology based on their tools and technology as well. So on the very first day, we have Dr. Ahmed Obaid. He is a professor from University of Kufa, Iraq. Then on the next day, we have Dr. Warkat sir, head of IQAC. On 22nd, then we have Dr. G.R. Bamnote sir, principal PR MIT Badnera. On 23rd, I have myself having the session based on Zotero. Yesterday, we have Dr. P.M. Jawandia sir, principal PL at PLIT Buldana. And today we have eminent personality, Dr. Muhammad Atiq sir. He is the head of PG Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Sant Gargi Baba Amravati University, Amravati. From all those 6 days, we are coming across the various terminology and techniques of research and methodology and different utilization of tools in terms of in the journey of research entrepreneurship. So I must say, at last, in this particular last 6 days, we have came across the various ideological tools of ICT and the basics of research and methodology. So that will be more helpful to every individual and the researchers who are pursuing their PhD postdoctoral program from abroad or maybe from India. So they were getting the more opportunity to work on this particular sector. So thank you so much, madam, for this giving me the opportunity, and special thanks to Professor Chajar madam, Professor S.R. Suntakke, and the entire computer department who have gives the valuable time for this entire 6 days. Thank you so much, madam, from my side.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our fellow participant if they want to give their valuable feedback on this occasion. So they are most welcome. Yes, anybody wants to say or give their feedback about this FDP?
Yeah. Hello. Good evening,
Yes,
everyone.
ma'am.
Please,
Yes,
please,
ma'am.
ma'am, please.
This is
Even we
Professor-
are waiting for the participant to give their valuable feedbacks.
Yeah. This is Professor Pallavi from Vishwaniketan Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship from Navi Mumbai side. Uh, I sincerely want to thank the organizing committee and all the fellow participants of this event, because since last 4 or 5 days afternoon, we all the group of friends participating this into this program. And yes, on this concluding day I can say that it was very fruitful, because I am pursuing my PhD. And somewhere I want to thank from bottom of my heart to all the organizing committee that the theme which they have chosen for last 4 or 5 days, even the today's presentation, and whatever the takeaway from this whole program is somewhere very satisfying, that yes, this is where I am connecting. And there's a addition, whatever knowledge and whatever the um, PhD related uh, this kind of our project or our research work is going on. So thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward for this type of event, this type of programs in coming future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable words. Any other participant who want to give their valuable feedback? So, sir, shall I proceed? Gadicha,
Hello.
sir? Yes,
Hello.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Actually, I have attended this program. Actually, I found it is very new dimensional approach. I'm really loved this FDP, and I have enhanced my knowledge. And please conduct these type of programs, which have very great speakers, and also it is a very nice program to attend and enhance our knowledge. Thank you so much for conducting this program and all the, and I really I show my gratitude to all speakers, those who are shared their knowledge. And I thank you, the institution, for conducting this type of program, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope your participation will be continued in further programs also. Thank you so much for your feedback.
Sure. Actually, this program has new dimensions, madam. Actually, I have enjoyed it.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, any other participant who want to say something?
Yes, I want to speak,
Yes,
Ritika
ma'am.
madam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Uh,
ma'am. Welcome.
Yes, this was a very fruitful FDP conducted by PR Pote College of Engineering and Management. Kritika Charger madam, then Gadicha sir, and your Diting Gole sir, Dr. Diting Gole sir, and all the organizing committee of the institute. You have taken a lot of efforts, and the contents of the program were very fruitful. Like, although I have done my research work, although I have been granted awarded PhD from the SGBAU, still I found it very knowledgeable and very effective. The contents were very good, and the speakers, all the speakers you had in your 6 days program, they were very knowledgeable, and they put up a lot of information and a lot of thing to a lot of food for thought. Like, after attending this FTP, I think I should also go for postdoctoral research. So I'm very thankful for you for taking all the efforts, and hope you will organize more such programs in future also, and will include us in the programs. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am, sure. Thank you so much for your valuable feedback. Anybody else? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. This is Dr. Pranay Dute from MJ University, Aurangabad.
Yes, sir.
I would like to thank you, VR Pote Patil College, for conducting such a very informative and nicely arranged session. I would like to loud about the speakers and their content are very good. I have attended so much FDPs and the workshop in the last 2 to 3 year online as we have suffered from the COVID. But this workshop is stand alone and the content and the topic which is covered by the speaker is very good. So thank you very much for giving us chance to participate in this one, and we are looking forward for the future also that this kind of workshop is get happen and we will get notified for the same. Thank you very much.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable words. Anybody else? Gadita sir, shall I proceed? Hello. 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 Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you all the fellow participants for your active participation and valuable feedback you have given for this FDP. The FDP was started with the vision to give the overview of basic research methodology and the latest development in the research process to all the research scholars that will help them to do their research activity effectively. We have got approximately 150 plus registration for this FDP and from all the parts of country. And I'm thankful to all who have shown trust in this FDP and registered in such a large number. The FDP started with the basic concepts of research and problem by Dr. Ahmed Obed, and a few other speakers have given the basic idea of the research. Moving towards the vote of thanks for this whole FDP, I, Professor Kritika Chajir, take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks to all those who have directly and indirectly contributed for the successful conduction of this FDP on research methodology and use of ICT tools from 20th February to 25th February 2023. First and foremost, with my whole gratitude, I thank Chairman of the Institute, Honorable Dr. Shri Praveen Kumarji Pote, Vice Chairman Mr. Shreyas Kumarji Pote, for their constant encouragement and motivation to conduct such type of events. I also thank Principal Dr. D.T. Ingole, Vice Principal Dr. Muhammad Zuhair for their wholehearted support for conduction of this FDP. I also thank the Dr. A.B. Gadicha for providing all the facilities in the department for the smooth conduction of this FDP. I thank all my members of organizing committee and dear fellow faculty members of Department of CSE and AIDS for providing their support in the overall conduction of this FDP. I want to thank all the non-teaching staff for providing all technical support for this FDP. And last but not the least, everything would be incomplete without thanking the most important element, my dear participants, for registering in huge numbers and sparing their valuable time for attending all the sessions of this FTP and actively participating in each session. Thank you all once again and hope we'll get similar support from all of you in future events also. At last, I want to say that knowledge without application is simply a knowledge. Applying the knowledge to one's life is wisdom, and that is the ultimate virtue. With these warm words and kind message, we move towards the end of this FDP. Once again, I thank one and all who directly and indirectly helped for making this FDP a grand success. With the permission of chair, I declare this FDP is over. All are requested to fill the attendance and feedback for today's session, and also all are requested to solve the quiz which will be shared with you in the chat box. Solving quiz is necessary for getting the certificate for the FDP, and you'll be getting the certificates after 2 to 3 days on your registered email ID that you have entered while your registration. And for getting the ISTE certificate, you have to pay 118 rupees and upload the details in the Google form, which I will be sharing after this FDP with you people on the group. And in that you have to put your ISTE numbers, the membership number, as well as the receipt of payment of 118 rupees. Then you will be getting an ISTE certificate from ISTE. The ISTE certificates will be obtained after 8 to 10 days and sent on your registered email ID. So thank you once again, all of you, for making this FDP successful. Thank you all.